Welcome everyone to episode 4 of the Journey to 2000 Fide. If you guys are new to this series, this is documenting my progress towards, like I said, 2000 Fide, which is classical chess, no rapid, no blitz, no bullet, only classical chess. This particular game I just played earlier today, and I am playing in team matches. So I am with a club called Club 608, or Club 608 in French. I'm living in Paris. And basically it's a division where we're facing all of the other clubs of Paris. This was round 6, and there's 4 of us. So 4 and 4 facing off each other. And I believe this was the semifinals. So I'm not going to give away the results of this game, nor the entire team match, but pretty exciting because, yeah, whoever wins goes on, I believe. Whoever loses gets knocked out. Couple things. Exciting news, I officially broke 1700 FIDE. As of March 1st, I am 17-18, if you guys can see right here. I just put it down here. I have only lost 1 game out of the 6 games that I've played in these team matches. Which is pretty cool. So my score right now, if I'm not mistaken, is 5-1. I've won 5 of my classical games and only lost 1. All right, so let's jump into it. I have the black pieces. My opponent, his name is Cyril, and he didn't actually write his elo on the score sheet. So like when we made the first few moves, I didn't actually know what his rating was. All I knew is that I'm at the first chessboard and so is he. So theoretically, we're supposed to be the highest rated out of our team. Anyways, and so he plays d4, and I have not studied or played any chess in the last probably 2-3 weeks, like kind of off and on, but I really have not been playing or studying. Just before this game on the bus over there with my phone, I was going over some lines. One of the lines that I went over was d4, was Queen's Gambit, because I am terrible at it. And so I would have been happier to see e4 for sure, because then I get to play Scandinavian, but that's not what happened. We get d4, and so I get knight f6, and then c4. So not a London. We got a Queen's Gambit on the board. The best setup that I've been going for is e6, then usually d5. So that's literally what happened here. I am in theory here, because I had literally just looked at this line, and luckily, like thank God, because I'm so bad at this that I'm not really sure what would have happened otherwise. So I knew that by the time castles, I knew that was theory. I knew that I was doing okay. Queen c2, I hadn't gone over this line, but it didn't really change much, I thought. So I went for h6, and then here's the first big moment of this game. h4. So obviously you don't want to take. The idea is it's a trap, and if you're taking, I'm pretty sure the computer is going to say don't do that, you're getting you're getting hurt. H takes, yeah, h takes, it's kicking the knight, and mate is being threatened, so the knight's protecting the mating square. Even if I go here, like it's not great because let's see here. Yeah, see here, I don't even take the knight because I'm getting mated. It wants to play g6 anyway, so you don't take that. You don't take the bishop. But I knew this was not the best move. I knew that this was not the best move. If anything, I knew this was dubious. And so I just kept going. I just kind of carried on. And I went for b6, kind of confusing lines. This actually, computer says it's a mistake, but you know, it's dead even right here. And as you guys can see by the eval bar, it's not like a blunder. It's just not the best move. Computer wants c5 right away. Anywho, b6, e3. Pretty standard stuff. Here I was thinking either knight d7 first, c5 right away, but I was worried that like c5... No, I don't actually remember what I was thinking there, so I just fianchettoed. C takes d5, e takes d5, and to give you guys some context here, at this point in the game, we're on move 9, and one thing I have been really good at with my over-the-board games is time management. Like, for those of you who watch me play rapid chess online, you'd know that I'm pretty bad at time management, which is not to say that I'm bad with playing under time pressure, but I'm always like down on time. Whereas in my over-the-board games, I actually have, for at least the last 2 or 3 games, always been up on time, like considerably. So by this point, we're on move 9. I have a minute and 26, so I've only spent 4 minutes of my time. Keep in mind there's an increment, I think it's 30 or 40 seconds each move, but my opponent is at a minute and 11 already, so I already have a bit of a time advantage here. And here I was debating taking with the knight, but I think I was worried about basically, let's see here. If knight takes, I don't think yeah, taking that definitely doesn't do me any favors because it's just opening up the H file. So I was kind of worried about this, and I thought, well, yeah, I could like just take with the pawn, I guess, and then maybe takes, and this looks okay, but I didn't also like all the pressure on c7. So because taking here kind of encourages him to take on d5, opening up the queen, and then eventually the rook comes over. So my thought was, I'm just going to take back with the pawn. You can't take that pawn. You know, if you want to open up the c file with your queen and your rook, sure, go ahead, but you're going to have to waste a move doing it. So a lot of misses, like tons and tons of misses. He goes back to b4, which I thought was a good move. Like the bishop just, eventually the bishop just looks kind of stupid here if I'm not going to fall for that trap. This is a much better diagonal. And as you guys can see, there's potential for like a lot of pressure down on c7. So at this point, I strike at the center. I go c5. This does two things. Number one, I no longer have this weakness I have to worry about on c7. And then number two, like I'm striking at the center. And as far as I know, in d4, d5 openings, if black can play c5, d5 and c5, you're good. Usually that means you're at least equal, if not better. So I just kind of knew that that was the right move, the right idea, especially with this b6. This was something that I was looking at earlier, and very often, you know, it was b6, then following up with c5. So yeah, c5, bishop e2, nothing crazy, nothing special here. And at this point, I was a little bit concerned about knight b5. So I wanted to go knight d7, but I'm assuming the computer is not going to like that. Actually, doesn't seem to be too concerned, I suppose, because here I was thinking, well, what do I do here? Knight e4. That makes very little sense to me, but okay. You just kind of let him jump in with the knight. He can't protect with the rooks, then he just takes. So I just wanted to avoid this altogether, and I ended up going knight c6 instead, which turns out to be the best move here. Anytime if he takes, I'm taking back with the bishop, or sorry, no, with the pawn I think is best. Yeah, b takes is best. So I'm not worried about them taking. He goes knight e5. I bring the rook over. And what you guys will see is that in this game, it's all about, like, if I think about why the result of this game was what it was, which you guys will see, these little moves, tempo, these little developing moves, they all add up. And especially in a classical game, they all add up. And in general, my mindset, and this might be helpful for some of you guys if you're like lower rated, or I don't know, maybe even if you're my rating, or maybe even higher, who knows, but my mindset that seems to help a lot, it seems to work, you know, when I'm thinking like this, I seem to do pretty well in general, which is that I don't want to waste a single move, a single tempo. It's all about development. It's all about not moving the same piece twice. Get your pieces out. And as you guys will see here, that's what I was doing, right? Like I haven't wasted, as far as I'm concerned, my opponent has wasted moves with his bishop. My opponent had moved the same piece twice, so that's the second time the bishop moved. And I didn't do that. I'm not moving any pieces twice. I'm always trying to improve every piece, right? And so anyways, rook c8, queen d2 here. And at this point, obviously I'm putting pressure on the d4 pawn, so I think that's why he moved that over. I decided that his king isn't castled. And he's getting kind of aggressive already with the move h4. He's hinting at trying to attack my king. What do you need to do when you're being attacked is strike at the center, especially if your opponent has not castled yet. I wanted to break things open. So I started by taking, which seems to be a great move, meaning it's the only really good move that keeps the advantage for me. And as you guys can see, because black is already better. So takes, and here I went rook e8. The computer wants... Let's see here. Holy cow. Yeah, once knight takes e5. Let's see what the tactic is here. Queen takes. Bishop c5. See, I looked at this, but I don't get it. Bishop takes bishop c5. Queen a4. d4. Yeah, so this is... I would not be looking at this.
Why didn't you think of that? For your health.
I would not be looking to sack an entire piece for no apparent compensation. It's not like it's not like the king is right here and it's like a skewer or something and I'm winning the queen. It's just, so anyways, I was looking at that, but no, I didn't do that. I went rook e8. rook e8, and then g4. At some point, I had gone to get some coffee, right? And I went over to the score sheet of like everyone, like our entire team score sheet, to see what rating this guy is, because you have to like know. I have the right to know who it is I'm playing, what the rating is. And so I saw that he's 1590. So I'm like, okay, I had seen that like a little bit earlier in the game, earlier than this. And so I knew that. And, it does kind of give me information. It helps, because a move like g4, if I were playing a 1900, I might be more worried. I might be like, okay, I need to look if this is really a threat. This certainly looks scary. Because I knew that it was a 1590 and he was a little bit lower rated, that's kind of a rating where I think it's possible to be just playing super aggressive looking moves, but that are not actually sound. And I was pretty sure this move wasn't sound, but I had to calculate and make sure. There's ideas of sacking the bishop on h6 here, except that let's say if he did it like right now, he might want to. He might be thinking about that, right? He takes, I take, and because I have a knight on f6, like there's just no danger. The computer, you can see, the computer does not like this. They don't really have anything. So, but I was keeping an eye on that. And so he goes g4. At this point, my idea was I have a rook lined up with a king. It'd be nice if I can open things up here, because that's going to start to put pressure on White's position. I also could eventually swing the bishop over and make better use of it, because for the moment he's kind of boxed in, unless this pawn moves, and then it's x-raying the rook. Anywho, here I decided to go bishop b4. Why? Because it's removing one of the pieces from the e-file. It's putting pressure on and pinning the knight. The queen is lined up with the king. To me, it makes sense. Also, I am threatening knight e4 on the next move. Obviously, he played g4, so he's looking to play g5 and open up my pawns and basically massacre me down the g-file. I'm not going to let that happen. And I think I already spotted at this point a really cool tactic. It's nothing crazy, but it's pretty cool. And let me just give you guys some context. In the meantime, basically, I am at the first table. My opponent is Cyril. To my left, so the second table, is Emmanuel. He's one of my teammates. To his left is the team captain, Patrick. And then the fourth board is, I believe his name is Kim. So he's a younger kid, like teenager or something. And it was all four of us. It was us four that played the last round. And if you guys haven't watched that, I'm going to leave a little video right now. Go check that out. It's a crazy game. I believe we ended up tying. The match was a tie, but I won. And literally everyone's game ended up being like the exact same. To my left, Emmanuel, he plays really fast, and his opponent happened to play really fast as well. Just like in the previous round, it's exactly what happened. He got this crazy Greek gift sacrifice, won really early, left before everyone else, and then it was then there's the rest of us, and then Patrick finished his game, and he had lost that game. And then it was down, and then it was me, and then it was Kim. So I finished my game, and that was the order. And this is literally the exact same order that we finished in today. So by this time, Emmanuel was already like in some crazy game where he, like, it was all over the place, but he did end up winning. I'm like playing and kind of looking over there because my opponent was taking a lot of time. At this point, guys, we're on move 16. This is pretty crazy. And my opponent has gone already from 1 minute and 11 seconds to 13 minutes. So he's used over an hour of his clock by move 16, and I'm at 47 minutes. I had also started to use some time, but we're already down to that much time, and we're nowhere close to move 40. Move 40, you get an extra 30 minutes added to your clock. We're nowhere close to that, so keep that in mind. He takes the bishop. So a couple things here. I was thinking, if I take here and he takes here, he loses on the spot because I have this check, bishop's pinned, can't take, and I win the queen. And I thought, okay, if my opponent plays a little bit too quickly, which is what some of these other players, like the guys to my left, they were playing way too fast. Literally, actually, Emmanuel had won because his opponent just played super fast, took back with the rook and blundered a piece. He had to like take with the king, but he ended up taking with the rook, which dropped the knight and just lost the game on the spot because of that. No real reason. He has plenty of time. So if my opponent were to do that and not take his time and not play, carefully, I had this idea. That was really the idea. Even back to here, I thought maybe he would go a3, in which case I'm still taking, because if you take here, same thing, I win the queen. So I take, and he takes with the bishop, which definitely looked like the best move. He either had bishop takes or pawn takes. Both looked okay to me. But bishop takes, and then I jump the knight into e4. You got to do something because I'm hitting the queen and the knight. So now I have 3 pieces piling up on that knight. At this point, I kind of knew that I knew that I was better. I knew I was winning, but this is a little bit sketchy what's happening over here on the king side. So I still had to be careful. I was still thinking, taking my time to, anti-blunder check, making sure I wasn't blundering. Knight e4, my opponent plays f4. It's the best move. And I hadn't really considered what he might. I was thinking he would play maybe queen d3. I don't know why. But yeah, queen f4 on the board here. And at this point, obviously, I can take and win a rook, right? I can take and win a rook. And what's even better is that he cannot bring the king down. So like if I were to grab that rook, let's just say here, he doesn't, that's a free rook. Like it's not just an exchange, it's a whole entire rook. But this is looking a little bit scary. Like this is looking a little bit scary. The computer actually says that I'm fine. But yeah, a little bit sketchy looking. So I decided to first, I can do this at any point. This is not going anywhere until he castles, and if he does, I'm still, I think I'm still doing pretty good there. But I decided to throw in h takes g5. And I thought to myself, okay, if you take back, I'm going to just take with a queen and go into this a pawn up. What I had calculated was this rook over, which looks kind of scary because he's threatening f4, winning my knight. And then if my knight moves, then he has rook takes g7 check. But I thought, well, I can just play f6. I can just play f6 and get rid of the bishop, and then I'm totally fine here. Not even fine, I'm better. I'm a pawn, let's see, I'm 1 pawn up, and I like my position. So I was fine going into an endgame, which I think I'm proud of myself, and I think it is kind of a sign of maturity when you know that you've got a beautiful attack, right? And if you don't know how to be flexible and to adapt, and you just insist like, no, I'm attacking, I have to keep attacking, I can't trade down into a winning endgame if the moment presents itself, for example, then you lose a lot of games like that, and I certainly have in the past. But I think even though it wasn't the best move, I do think it's a nice tendency and skill that I've been developing, which is just recognizing at any point if I see a forced sort of continuation that is winning, even if it's 1 pawn up or 2 pawns up. 1 pawn up, guys, is enough to win the game, depending on the position, of course. But so if I see any variation where I know that it's pretty forcing and I'm winning, I'm going to take that. I don't need to have this crazy game, right? Like it's like Levy, his coach was often saying like, and Hikaru, I think a lot of people have said this, like, why would you complicate things? Don't complicate things if you can just play a simple but better move. Anyways, so enough blabbering here aside. Queen goes over to g4, and yeah, it looked like, okay, he's really just trying to put pressure, but it's too slow, and I still have knight takes c3 or bishop takes c3. At this point, like I said, guy to my left, Emmanuel from our team, he won. It was an insane game. He won. Everyone was kind of looking over at it. And now, and right around here, I think already the third table, so Patrick from our team, he lost. That game ended. He lost. So, keep in mind, I know that so far we're 1-1. And if I win my game and then the fourth table wins, we win the match. So I'm just kind of keeping that in mind, right? And I got a brilliant move, which is pretty cool. So here, the point is, I actually almost took here. I was looking at this move, not even realizing that it literally is mate in 1. And that's the idea, right? He's just trying to go for, I wouldn't say tricks, but he's not necessarily playing the best moves, just moves that are making threats, but they don't really work. And so here I thought, look, I can take here at any point and I'm winning a rook. An entire rook. So this bishop's annoying me. I'm just going to sack the rook. And I did. Got a brilliant move. Happy to see that. So rook takes e5. D takes e5. And then here I was also super happy with this move because I thought to myself, all right, if I take here on c3, I felt like if I take here on c3, it's tempting, but the computer actually says that's a mistake. Let's see here. Oh yeah, it's because they can grab the bishop. So I looked at this and I was like, this is not all that great. Black's still, I guess, winning, but this doesn't look, no, I'm not winning the whole rook. So I thought to myself, okay, well, if I can just cut the queen off from the bishop, if I can play d4, I'm winning the knight. And I at first thought, oh, but then it hangs my knight, so like here, and then it grabs. But then I realized that the bishop was protecting the knight, and that actually this bishop is terrible right now. This bishop is not really in the game. And in one move, it became very clear to me this was the best move. Now, I guess it's not actually the best move, but this does two things. It opens up the rook. It opens up the bishop, X-raying the rook, which is super dangerous. It's winning a knight, basically. My knight is protected by the bishop. And then I could, even if I wanted to, think about just steamrolling that pawn down the board. So I was happy to find this. I felt like it was a pretty clinical move. It wasn't just like, no, let's just take the knight. Like I have 1, 2, 3 attackers. Let's just take it and take the material. Like, no, I was trying to think positionally. And then my opponent castles. So we are now on move 21. And the time is, he's at 1 minute and 30 seconds. So you guys can tell my opponent is down to 1 minute, 30 seconds. I'm down to 21 minutes. He's in trouble. Not only because I knew I was winning, but because of the time. I did still have to be careful though. This, as you guys will see, like I did still have to be careful. So I decided to go with knight takes. I took with the knight, and then rook takes c3. I want that file to be open, and also I want it to come with check. He's not able to come and attack my rook, so it gives me a tempo, right? I have a tempo on my opponent, and then I take the rook. Instead of if I take here, now all of a sudden, boom, maybe he plays this. Queen e7 is what the computer wants. Yeah, but this just looked better. So rook takes, king b1, and I took a little while to think on this move because I thought, well, I actually might need to be a little bit careful here because, let's see here, bishop takes, bishop takes, rook takes d4, which is what my opponent played, and I thought to myself, okay, I have to be a little bit careful here. He's hitting my queen. There's back rank weaknesses. He has a light squared bishop, so, that could be kind of sketchy. And technically this is forking my pieces, forking my queen and my bishop. Well, anyway, so I was kind of worried, but I really tried to calculate this through and make sure that I was okay to take that rook. So I took the rook. He played rook takes d4 as I had predicted. I'm up a piece, but I still have to be a little bit careful. Queen c7 happened to be the best move. Why? Because there's no checks here, there's no checks here, and I'm just building up a battery with potential mate threats on c1. Bring the bishop over here. Queen c7. Queen takes g5. I didn't actually see this move. So he wins a pawn, and he protects from mate, because this would have been mate. Like, I don't know if you guys look, let's say he makes some random move here. This is just mate. Like here, and then mate. So I saw that. And for a moment when he took the pawn, I actually thought I thought he blundered and that he just blundered mate, and he didn't. I realized that he was covering the square, and so then I decided to bring the bishop back, because not only was he taking that free pawn, he's also thinking about maybe giving a check on d8, and so I brought the bishop back. So this is a tempo. I mean, the bishop was okay there, but it actually was being hit by the rook. I gained a tempo on my opponent. It's not like his queen is going to make, I don't see what threats he could really make. So he goes back to d2. He's still protecting. He has to protect the c1 square or he's getting checkmated. So I go bishop a3. So I bring my bishop back now. And look, here's the thing. You want to go back here now. It doesn't work because you're getting mated. Takes, check, and that's mate. So bishop a3, the best move. Just happy to find that. It was not easy because I am letting my opponent do rook d8 check. King h7 is pretty much forced. And then I'm letting him get this check in, and I had to calculate. So I had calculated this all the way through. I saw that I was okay. I was 95% sure that I was okay and I was going to win. Because, the mate is constantly being threatened here, and I just didn't see a way for white to stop this. So I played king h7, bishop d3 check, and my opponent literally was floating between like 30 seconds or so. And g6, I predicted all of this. He's going to take, because he basically has to. He sacks the bishop. Of course, I'm sure he would want me to take with the king or something and, get mated, but that's not going to happen. I saw that I had king g7, no more checks other than this or this, but, that's game over. Here, and my opponent went rook g8 check. Okay, so at this point, it's obvious, like, I've won the game. I just need to make sure there's not some crazy trick where I'm getting mated, but there isn't. King takes g8 is the only move, and then my opponent resigned here. And so I won this game. The second board, we won that game. Emmanuel had won that game. Third board, our team lost that game. So it is now 2-1. And I believe that the fourth table, our teammate lost. So when I left, I didn't stay to watch the whole thing just because it was queen versus queen of rook. So he was a rook down in the end of the game, and it was pretty much over. So with this, I have won 5 games. I've lost 1 game. And I don't really know what this means in terms of a tiebreak in the semifinals. I asked the team captain, and I didn't really get a definitive answer here. But anyway, so yeah, I'm super. I mean, I was pretty happy with this. I haven't been playing chess a whole lot, and it's good to see that I'm still progressing. I do really like over the board chess. I really have been more and more into over the board chess over compared to online chess, just a lot with all the cheating and stuff. I say that all the time, but it's like I just don't have to worry about my opponent cheating in over the board, match, right? Like, yeah, it could happen, but it's unless it's like prize money or something, I just don't see people taking that risk. So I really enjoy that, and just the personal, like social factor, playing real people that are right in front of you, and the journey continues. So thank you guys for watching. If you are interested in following my journey to 2000 elo on chess.com, you can click on the link or the video up above or right here. I don't know where it's going to be, maybe in the center of the screen, and I will see you guys in the next one. Like and subscribe.